This was suggested, recommended. True for you, but not for me. This was suggested on the Discord, and there's 2 compasses. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. I love you, celiac. That's why I keep coming back. I know. Everyone loves me. It's a real problem in my life, actually. Let's go.
Is there such a thing as truth? Or is everything, including truth, a statement of personal opinion or preference?
Let's get this out of the way before we get into this. The question, what is truth, is an ancient question humans have been asking as long as we've been able to put thoughts into words. It's an old-ass question. There's many different schools of thought on how we can approach what truth is and how we define reality, but that's the fun thing. We're talking about what is truth. There's not really any one definitive answer for that.
In other words, is truth relative?
Let's hear where this goes before we say anything about it.
For our purposes here, let's put aside the science angle. Yes, you can sit on a couch and not appear to be moving, but since the Earth at the equator is rotating at 1,100 miles per hour, you are, from that perspective, moving, and very fast.
Okay. So far it sounds like you're providing an argument that truth is relative.
I'm not talking about that kind of relative.
Oh.
Let's confine ourselves to the more everyday questions of truth, like, does it exist?
Is that an everyday question? I don't ask myself that every day.
Once the answer to this question was obvious, usually confined to late-night discussions in college dorm rooms.
No. The answer to the question, does truth exist, has never been an obvious answer. Who the fuck do you think you are to be able to answer this? Renowned philosophy professor Paul Copen? Oh, Paul Copen is a Christian theologian. There we go, that's the answer. Professor at Palm Beach Atlantic University. Is it a Christian? Yep! There we go. Palm Beach Atlantic University is a private Christian university in West Palm Beach, Florida. Okay, gotcha. There we go. Not to denigrate Christianity here, but I feel like when someone who's a professor at a Christian university is going to come on here and talk about this is how philosophy works, they're going to come into this discussion with a bias that doesn't quite line up with the rest of philosophy. Late night discussions in college dorm rooms. They were talking about this back in ancient Greece. Socrates would show up in the middle of the town square and talk about how truth can be found in the bodies of supple young boys. Something along those lines.
No longer.
Okay, no.
Truth is going through a tough time. A white woman feels black and represents herself to be so.
That was an interesting angle.
She rises in the leadership ranks of the NAACP until her fiction is exposed.
Rachel Dolezal. Yes, this is very cringe. You are correct. But let's ask a question here. Objectively speaking, you're talking about truth. Well, that sentence made no sense. Okay, Paul. Tell me, you seem to be knowledgeable on truth, or you claim to be. What is it that makes someone white or black? How would you define that? You're referring to truth. What truth is it that makes someone white or black? Is it just the skin color? Because there's plenty of shades in between. At what point does someone cross over from one to another? I feel like we're not going to get an answer to this. Rachel Dolezal she seemed kind of nutty, in my opinion. To my knowledge, she didn't seem to do anything like evil with this. Right? It seemed kind of like, that's weird. I don't know if I want to be friends with you. But okay, you found one anecdotal example that is weird. Maybe this proves a broader point in this video? Let's find out.
She refuses to go quietly, however. She feels black, and so she is black.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
A 69-year-old man in the Netherlands petitions the court to legally change his age to 49 because that's how he feels. And of course,
and there's nothing else added onto that. And in some countries, there are enough people who fill out their census paperwork saying that their religion is Jedi. I don't. What point is this?
Seemingly on a daily basis, men and more boys with all the chromosomes and body parts that make them distinctly male declare themselves to be female.
Aha! We've figured out where he was going. We found the problem.
And women and more girls likewise declare themselves to be male. They feel they're one sex or the other. Therefore, they are that sex, and we must accept that regardless of what the truth is.
Wrong! Hi, editing attack here. I got one little thing I want to add. So, Paul Copen says,
they feel they're one sex or the other. Therefore, they are that sex, and we must accept that regardless of what the truth is.
Well, Mr. Copen, the truth is, like you said, they do feel like they are a member of a different sex. I know, conflation of sex and gender, bear with me. Your argument about a person's chromosomes is actually irrelevant to the matter entirely. Chromosomes don't change the way you feel. If I wake up in the morning and I say, hey, I feel kind of sick today, and you look at me and you say, no, you look fine, you're not sick, you're not throwing up, that doesn't change the fact that I still feel sick. Kind of like all transphobic people just have a stubborn devotion to not understanding it whatsoever. Alright, back to the video. It's kind of weird to be going from Rachel Dolezal was actually white but pretended to be black to, yeah, trans people are kind of the same thing. These arguments aren't exactly analogous, not even starting to approach the conflation of sex and gender. Talking about the conflation of sex and gender, he brings up, oh, they're chromosomes.
Chromosomes and body parts that make them distinctly male.
Okay, question. Who the fuck cares? You know, when someone's like, yeah, you know, I really feel like I'm a man or a woman or either way, and someone explains that, I don't go and say, oh yeah? Let me see your body parts. Let me see your fucking chromosomes! That's not how people handle that. That's not how you respond. It is an argument that people who are transphobic like to fall back on because, oh my god, there's spit all over my monitor from that. But it is an argument they like to fall back on because they can claim, well, it has some basis in science, so therefore, I must be right. Science is on my side. But they don't actually know what they're saying. Okay, I think that's claimed. Also, real thing, male and female does exist. There are sexual differences between male and female, but nobody fucking cares about your chromosomes. That's not really how reality goes. And he wants to conflate man and woman with male and female because it's an easier argument for him because you can't make the argument without conflating the two.
They feel they're one sex or the other. Therefore, they are that sex, and we must accept that regardless of what the truth is.
You don't have to accept anything. Just don't be a dick. That's the easy answer.
In a viral video, a 5'9" American Caucasian male asks students at the University of Washington to acknowledge that he's Chinese or 6'5" or a woman.
Okay, well, first off, 5'9" Caucasian male in the United States. It's not a complete, you know, impossibility that this person I'm talking to might have been born in China or might have obtained Chinese citizenship. And honestly, that's more important than your race. That's not what he means.
Some hesitate, but no one will tell him what he's saying is not true.
Yeah, because they're like, is this some gotcha or is this like someone who's like got some issues in his head who's like accosting me with a camera? Because, you know, you go to a university, there are some wacky people there.
That he's not what he says he is. That would be mean and intolerant.
Okay, this is weird. There's the link. They put the text of the URL here, but not the name of the video? Let's type in this link. Let's see where it goes. Family Policy Institute of Washington.
There's been a lot of talk about identity lately.
Oh,
but
God.
How far does it go?
I don't like
and
this
is it
guy.
possible to be wrong? We went to the University of Washington to find out.
I think bathrooms could and potentially should be gender neutral.
Wow, they found Pete Davidson?
So if I told you that I was a woman, what would your response be?
I'd accept you. I'd accept you for the person you are and who you want to be, man. Woman. I'm sorry.
If I told you that I was 7 years old, what would your response be?
You're not. Because unlike these other things, being 7 is an actual measurement of time. Guess what? Time is relative too. Not in the same way as these other things are. Let's say, for example, I wonder if Paul Copen here, you know, is like aware of that. Probably not. Okay, considering he's talking about how much he hates trans people and how much their existence is like strange and foreign to him, so he's gonna take oil money to make it, I'm willing to bet he has zero knowledge of the theory of relativity. Okay, let's go.
American Caucasian
Paul Copen, yeah.
male asks students at the University of Washington to acknowledge that he's Chinese or 6'5" or a woman. Some hesitate, but no one will tell him what he's saying is not true, that he's not what he says he is.
Well, because they don't actually know, right? Could very well be a woman. Could very well be from China. 7, little different, but come on.
That would be mean and intolerant. This true for you but not for me relativism is disconcerting because it requires the acceptance of obvious contradictions, denial of reality, and common sense.
Like what? First off, don't tell me common sense. People say common sense when they want to say, this is how things are. I don't have an explanation for it. It's just how they are. When people talk common sense, that's usually the same line of thinking they have.
Rather than adjusting our lies to the truth has to adjust itself to us. But it's very difficult to live this way, not to mention it being highly impractical.
I don't get it, but okay.
We rely on mind-independent, universal truths in order to think clearly, to navigate life.
All right, here's another question. What is reality? For example, got a phone in my hand here. Is this really a phone? Or is all of this a coma dream? Nah, I bet you didn't see that one coming. Do I know for certain that this is real? Do I know for certain that I didn't nearly die 4 years ago and I'm sitting in a coma and all of this is just in my head? I don't know for certain. I don't have a counter to that. Do you, Paul?
Otherwise, we quickly get lost. There must be some things that just are, things that are true.
No, 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 no. You need some sort of backing for everything. All right, here's a question. Let's take a few steps back. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? No one's around to hear it, so no one can say for certain, oh, this tree fell and this tree made a massive noise. But every other time a tree does fall, in every other example, in every other case we can observe of a tree falling over, we can say, oh, this tree did make a noise, and it was loud as fuck. All these other trees made a sound 100% of the time. Therefore, we can reasonably conclude this tree probably made a sound too. No one is in animals, or knows that humans or animals included. Animals aren't real. What are you talking about? That's just a hallucination we have collectively agreed on. The point is we can measure the sound, we can measure other examples of it happening. Therefore, we conclude from the evidence we have, it's probably going to happen again. Okay, so when he says,
there must be some things that just are, things that are true.
You need to give some kind of evidence to back it. If I just say, yes, no, a tree will always make a noise, and then I leave it at that and I don't provide the evidence that all the other trees make noises, I've come to the conclusion without providing evidence. I've missed a few steps along the way.
This way points north for everybody, no matter what anyone happens to prefer or sincerely believe.
Well, the difference is we have a magnetic field around Earth. We have a compass that says, hey, when we put this magnetized tip in the water, it spins and points north. But guess what? Not everywhere on Earth does point north. If you go to the North Pole and you stand like right there, you know what happens? The needle fucking spins. The compass doesn't point north. It's every direction. If you put a strong magnetic force near a compass, the compass will point to the strong magnetic force. If you go to other planets and moons that don't have a magnetic field, they won't do this. So a compass is not a foolproof method of pointing north. There are a few exceptions in which a compass will not point north. So there's quite a few examples of this anecdote not working properly.
So what is truth?
What is?
At its root, truth is a matchup with reality. A story, a statement, or belief is only true if it lines up with what's real.
Man, I hated studying philosophy at college.
It's like a socket wrench fitting perfectly onto a bolt. Reality is the truth maker. Reality makes something true.
I feel like these are supposed to be interchangeable, and he's trying to divide a distinction between the two.
To say the earth is flat or the moon is made of green cheese is false. Why? Because it doesn't match up with reality.
Yeah, this is like I forget the name. When you've reached the conclusion already and you're not like providing a way to get there. The earth isn't flat because we can observe it. We can measure it and test it in all these possible ways. Therefore, we can conclude it's not flat.
Because it doesn't match up with reality.
Just to say it doesn't match up with reality is a lazy argument. This isn't intellectual.
Until quite recently, the purpose of all education in large part was the pursuit of truth.
No. The purpose of education has been to provide for an educated populace, because that provides like a million benefits.
The motto of Harvard University, for example, is veritas, Latin for truth.
I can't hear that without thinking of Project Veritas, because the guy, James O'Keefe, like flunked out of Harvard or something.
Anyone who says education should be about the pursuit of truth is immediately shot down with the comeback, Whose truth? Increasingly,
Wait, that's a good question. Whose truth?
people speak of my truth or say it's true for me or your reality, as though truth is merely a matter of opinion or perspective.
But dog, you teach at a Christian university. I don't agree with truth and reality in the same way you do. A lot of people don't.
At the 2018 Golden Globe Awards, Oprah Winfrey famously said that speaking your truth is the most powerful tool we all have.
I think she just means you speak your own life. Yeah, they just put that in there to be a dig at another celebrity. Not really presenting an argument.
Now, you can have your experience or your perspective, but there's no such thing as your truth or my truth. There is only the truth, that which is true for everyone.
He's gonna be in for a rude awakening when he dies, and he finds out not only is heaven not real, God is a black woman.
As Wall Street Journal writer Byron Tao noted, Oprah employed a phrase that I've noticed a lot of other celebrities using these days: your truth instead of the truth. But he added, your truth undermines the idea of shared common facts.
Man, conservatives make up so many fake problems. Wow, Oprah Winfrey, wow.
And here's another problem with your truth. If your truth is truth, anyone who doesn't hold that truth must be wrong.
So if it's my truth, and you don't hold my truth, but you hold your truth. But if you don't hold my truth, you're wrong. But what about your truth, Mr. Copen? You said my truth, but what about yours? If you don't hold mine, does that mean you're wrong? But then if you're wrong, but then are we going to invalidate yours? But then if I don't hold yours, then am I wrong? See, there's some holes in your arguments here.
This sounds a lot like narcissism, and it's intellectual bullying.
Oh.
Believe my truth or else.
Okay.
Not exactly a positive pro-truth message. Yeah, truth is going through a tough time.
It sounds like you are.
So let's review. Truth can't be relative. If it is relative, it's not truth.
I don't think he understands what relative means. He didn't explain that at all.
To say there is no truth for all people is to declare a truth for all people.
This guy is a terrible philosopher. Well, he's a Christian philosopher, so there you go. It's not to say there haven't been good ones.
In effect, you're saying it's true that there is no truth.
And the oracle said, I am the wisest of all the Greeks, because I alone know that I know nothing.
And to declare that both your and my opinions are true, even if they contradict one another, is to speak nonsense. Truth is an opinion or preference. It's not subjective or relative. It is inescapable because reality is inescapable. No amount of double talk will change that.
You need to go back to school. I'm sorry.
And that's the truth.
Oh.
I'm Paul Copan, author of True for You, But Not for Me, for PragerU University.
Good Lord.
Thank you for watching this video.
No, you are not welcome. This is horrible, bad philosophy. Good Lord.
To help keep PragerU videos free, please consider making a tax-deductible donation.
I'm not sure what else to add to that. That was something new. That was something special. So in conclusion, he doesn't know what reality is, can't differentiate that from truth, and he works for a Christian university, and this entire thing was actually just a way for him to talk about trans people and how he doesn't like them and how he thinks it's weird and how they're not valid, how they don't exist. Boom, bada bang, bada boom. He's gone boom. So there's a study guide on the PragerU page. True for you, but not for me. Key terms: truth, relativism, opinion, reality, intolerant, common sense. So I guess this is for little kids to read. What is the motto for Harvard? What does it translate to? What was the rationale for the 69-year-old man petitioning the court to legally change his age to 49? Oh look, case study, Bill C-16. Wow. Do they expect people to use this in schools or as a way of teaching their kids? The fuck? Yeah, when I started doing this recent series that I've been doing, where I've been just speed running PragerU content, I've done this as a response to some news articles saying that actual public schools were using PragerU videos. And this is also for when Prager parents homeschool their children. That too. Read the article, Canada passes radical law forcing gender theory acceptance, then answer the questions that follow. Which legislative body passed Bill C-16? What was the vote count? What does Bill C-16 do? What did the critics of Bill C-16 argue? Who is Justin Trudeau? What is his position on the bill? Who is Jack Fonseca? What is his position on the bill? Who is Jordan Peterson? What are his points in regard to the outcomes of the bill being passed? What if Professor Peterson insists that he won't use? What does the attorney D. Jared Brown say could happen if someone refused to use generalist pronouns? Wow, amazing. PragerU's not sending us the best. I can answer this. Jordan Peterson fucking lied. He's like, they'll jail me if I don't use the correct pronouns. No, dog. What's gonna happen is people are being provided a recourse if they're being discriminated against by their employers or by landlords. That's mainly what it came down to. You read the actual bill, it actually cites examples of discrimination in it. That was a long question, my guy. That was multiple questions in one point. Let's read the second one. Do you think that government bodies should be legislating relative truth? Fucking get out of here. Why or why not? What might the negative short-term and long-term consequences be, and perhaps unintended consequences as well, of the government controlling and compelling speech that doesn't comport with objective reality? Explain! And then you scroll down, we have a quiz. It's multiple choice. Oh my god. So the implication here is this is for children to be reading and watching and then taking the quiz. And this is all in the service of trying to make the point that trans people and their existence does not match up with reality. Now, what examples did they cite to say that trans people don't exist with reality? Not much. All we really got was chromosomes. And then we jump into the study guide, and then we get Jordan Peterson. Wow. Brilliant, foolproof, intellectual powerhouse of PragerU. Question 1. A 69-year-old man in the Netherlands positioned to change the court legally changes age to blank. That's kind of weird. Who cares about the number? Why is true for you, but not for me relativism disconcerting? A, because it requires the acceptance of obvious contradictions. B, because it requires the denial of reality. C, because it requires the denial of common sense. D, all of the above. At its root, truth is a matchup with reality. A story, statement, or belief is only true if it lines up with what is real. True or false? It's funny that they have that line on a true or false question, actually. What does the motto of Harvard University, Veritas, translate from Latin to English as? Truth isn't opinion. Preference, subjective. All of the above. We are all truth on this blessed day. Oh wow, I got all of them wrong. Oh, look at this. There's like an article down here. Canada passes radical law forcing gender theory acceptance. Nope, not true. Okay, if anyone's watching this, simple answer. The only thing Bill C-16 did was it added the phrase gender identity and expression to the list of already protected classes under Canada's Human Rights Code. That's it. Oh, look, it even says here. Bill adds gender expression and gender identity to Canada's Human Rights Code and to the Criminal Code's hate crime section. Doesn't say anything else about pronouns. The phrase pronoun isn't mentioned at all in any of it. So that's that. There we go. All right, we're done. PragerU, more like Prager Truth, is not to be found in PragerU. I'm going to give thanks to the February patrons. Wow. That's a lot more. Dios, Elsie Hupp, George, Irene Schaefer, James Paul, Jari Puolamo, Laura Day, Megan Squires, Mellow Cheddar, Schwartz, Suzanne Hendrickson, and Xylorp on Bandcamp. You may not realize it, but truth is an illusion. All of this around us is an illusion. The only thing that matters is that you click a link. One of these, another video, one of these other links, any of them. Ha! Psych! None of them matter. Nothing matters. Except matter itself, I suppose. That's matter.